Our next speaker is Mr. Uri Levine, and I believe he really does not need much of an introduction, but he is the co-founder and president of WAZE. WAZE is a social traffic and navigation system that relies on the input from users. Its success is in so many regions in the world just shows us the similarities in the cross-cultural habits and behavior. The truth, and I have to tell you, I wasn't sure it was going to work in Israel. I wasn't sure people were going to tell anybody else about their little secret ways to go places, but it seems it has worked, and it has worked big time in Brazil, and we'd like to know how and why. So thank you.
Thank you. You know, at the beginning, Yael asked me to prepare a presentation and speak a little bit about WAZE and a little bit about Brazilian market. And then at the end of the day, I only have maybe 5 minutes, so I'll skip the Brazilian part. Sorry, I'll skip the WAZE part, and I'll speak about what we are doing in the Brazilian market. Essentially, Brazil is actually our second largest growing country right now. We are growing at about a little bit over 10,000 new users every day in Brazil, and it's second only to the US. And I think this is a reflection of a little bit of the importance of the Brazilian market for us. You know, I'll skip that part because pretty much many of you are using WAZE and are familiar with that. What I do want to speak is actually just a little bit about what we are doing in the Brazilian market. And so, again, I prepared a slightly different presentation. This is the number of users that we have in Brazil, and this is basically since we launched the product internationally. And obviously, you can see that at the beginning there was pretty much nothing there. Beginning of last year, we actually signed a partnership agreement with a local partner called Multispectral. And they are a mapping company. So they are in the location-based services, and they were able to help us at the beginning. And we actually launched the service in June 2012. So we are now 8 months later, and we are growing at about 300,000 new users every month. And this is a lot of that is due to the contribution, but a lot of other part of that is due to the Brazilian market itself, the problems that we experience there, the willingness to share, the infrastructure that is available there in terms of smartphones and essentially, if you so this is this is the Brazilian growth that we have seen, and you can see that pretty much until June last year we had a very small increase in the number of users. Since then, we are kind of expecting or seeing exponential growth. Sorry. I don't have the right slide here. So essentially, there are a few very interesting things about the Brazilian market that were critical for us when we decided that we want to go into this market. So in addition to being a very large economy in terms of number of vehicles, this is the 4th country in the world. And our addressable markets are drivers. So essentially for us, the fact that there are 50 million vehicles is much more important than the UK or Italy or France or many of the major countries in Europe. So this is one thing. The other thing that is critical is that, if you've seen the traffic jams here on Ayalon Highway, you probably think that this is severe. And if you were driving in LA, then you think that maybe traffic jams are severe. But essentially, São Paulo is much more. We have a scale and ways that we actually measure continuously the speeds in different places. And the most interesting part is that everywhere I go, they are telling me that they suffer from the most severe traffic jam. So I can tell you that in most cases, this is not the case. Try Mexico City, try Jakarta, try Lagos in Nigeria, try different places that walking is actually faster than driving there. And so, on one hand, a lot of vehicles, infrastructure that is enabled with a lot of smartphones, 50 million vehicles, traffic jams that are pretty severe in major metropolitan areas, and a culture that embraces social networks was essentially for us a very good starting point to go into this market. Now, when we started, we kind of look at that and we say, okay, we're looking at Facebook, they're successful there. We're looking at Twitter, they're extremely successful there. We are looking at even Skype. It's one of their top 3 countries. Why shouldn't we do the same? And when we approached the market, we actually started to see the message that we deliver the drivers is that it's up to you. It's the responsibility of the drivers to fight traffic jams. And at the end of the day, drivers accepting that very willingly. And today, we probably save the drivers in Brazil more time spending in traffic jams than we are doing in many other countries, more than even in Israel. I think that in a point of view, it's a contribution of WAZE to the drivers. But at the same time, this is what happens when we are starting to approach critical mass, and when we're exceeding critical mass, then what we are seeing is that the overall service is improving, the benefits that we can deliver to different drivers is improving, and at the same time, obviously, we are enjoying the fruits of that and reaching a position in the market that is becoming stronger and stronger. Some of the partnerships that we do establish in the country, so in addition to the first partnership that we started with a local location-based services player and a map maker around television or media partners. So we are using, to an extent, partnership with media players, Sul America radio station, which is a radio that transmit or deliver traffic information continuously. We are partnering with them in order to provide better service to the users, but in return, we get more users to our system. Now we are starting to look into internet service providers and mobile operators as distribution partners. And probably next year, we will be starting to look into resellers of advertisement. And essentially, it's part of the realization that as an Israeli company, it's going to be very hard to be successful in a large market. Probably going to be very hard in a large market to be successful as an Israeli company without local support. And local support mainly is about partnerships, and we don't have local presence, by the way. WAZE don't have local presence anywhere except the US, where we have an office in Palo Alto. Everywhere else, it's either through the power of the community, the support of the community, and in many places through local partners that we find along the time. So maybe one more thing about the thing that WAZE is doing in that extent is empowering the users to help themselves, right? And so to an extent, if you think of WAZE as maybe the Wikipedia of the drivers, you can look at the history and basically say, 12 years ago, there was no Wikipedia. And today, there is no Britannica. And we actually give the drivers and the users the power to basically control their own destiny. We provide them with the platform, we provide them with the application, we provide them with the support, but essentially it's the community of the drivers and the community of the mappers, the active mappers that we have in the country that is actually doing all the heavy lifting and controlling their own destiny in order to make it better for them. And so this is one of the parts that is uniqueness, and in that space, Brazil is embracing that faster than any other market that we have seen before. Thank you.